I hope that's okay. This is fun. It's so awkward, like, starting a video. Like, how the fuck how do people do this? I think I'm just awkward. I think I'm just talking too much. That's the point of this, actually. I think in my recent, like, years, that's such a lie. In, like, the past couple months, I've came to the realization that I love talking. And I can talk for fucking ages. Like, I don't know, I just spew bullshit sometimes. And I always kind of thought, not that it was a bad thing, but I just always kind of thought, like, I don't know, I always acknowledged that I had a lot to say, but I don't know, I guess I was a bit too nervous to talk to people in my life, like, to just sit and yap at them, because I don't want to feel like I'm burdening them. And of course, like, if I talk to my friends or my boyfriend or, like, my family, I'm not gonna, like, they're not gonna think, oh, why is she talking to me? But I acknowledge that I do talk a lot. But I know that someone out there would probably find this interesting, so I was like, fuck it, I might as well post it to YouTube. Plus, like, I don't know, recently I've been in my Olivia Neal era, and she's really inspired me because she just talks, but I love it so much. So if I talk, I'm not trying to compare myself to her, because, like, no, but I don't know, the same way I find random yap interesting is the same way other people might find my random yap interesting. So yeah, obviously, okay, just let me introduce myself. I'm Maya. There's not really much more to it. I'm just kind of, like, living life at the moment. I feel like I always have a lot to say, but I don't know who to say it to. But that's not to say that, again, not to say that no one in my life will listen. No, I'm so awkward. Oh gosh. Oh. I don't know, now the camera's placed in front of me, I'm finding it difficult to find the words to talk, but trust me, like, my mind kind of moves at, like, 100 miles per hour. So I always, like, there's just constant flow of, like, information, new, like, yeah. I don't know, I'm nervous. I'm shy. I'm shy. I feel like the more I just sit down and talk, the more comfortable I'll get. But it's not like I'm not comfortable because what, I'm talking to a fucking screen, but but it's just about how well I can do it, if that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense to you, because it does to me. One of the things that I did want to talk about was my experience with mental health. Not in, like, a deep depressing way, but just, like, me personally, I've never been to a doctor. I'm not diagnosed with anything officially, but I'm fairly certain there's a couple screws that are quite lost, but not in a way like I'm loopy, like, I'm not, like, crazy, but I feel like a lot goes on in my head. To be honest, I don't know, I've never really spoken to anyone properly in my life about my mental health, because not that I don't think people care, of course people care, but it's just too complex to explain, like. And I feel like I've developed the habit of, oh goodness, I've developed the habit of masking, like, unintentionally. I don't know if people don't know what masking is, but it's kind of like when you kind of mask what's really going on for you. But I guess everyone does that. Like, the whole saying about when you go to sleep at the end of the day, you're a different person to who you are than when you're out with people. Like, I feel like that kind of quote is quite, like, that kind of defines me a bit. And that's not to say I'm, like, some complete, like, nervous wreck when I get, I don't know who I'm trying to lie to. But I don't know, I feel like one of the things that I have is ADHD, and before the self-diagnosis warriors come and cancel me, like, I've done my research, and in all honesty, I'm in the process of going to see, like, a NHS doctor. But my logic was that I kind of thought my problems, not that they were too complex for an NHS doctor, because that's crazy, like, of course they're qualified doctors and stuff, but the NHS, okay, when I was younger and when I was in school, I went to school in London. If you're from the UK, you'd know that the services, like, that the schools provide for students that are struggling with mental health is called CAMS, and, like, a lot of my friends from school had mental health difficulties, like, throughout secondary school and stuff. And the way that the school and CAMS dealt with it was shit. Like, you would tell them you're depressed and they'll tell you have a cup of tea and have a bath and then your problems should be solved. And I'm aware that my problems can't be solved that easily. They're a bit more complex for that advice. And now that I've left school, I'm 20 now, I just kind of had it in my head that I just wanted to go private for, like, a diagnosis, or just for therapy, or for just for help in that sense, because firstly, the waiting list is insane. Like, why am I waiting 2 years to get a diagnosis? But that, honestly, that makes sense, because there's, like, a million other people in the UK that are struggling with their mental health which need it. But not CBA, but like CBA. So I was kind of had it always in my head that I'll just go private, and I was looking up on it, but it's actually crazily expensive. Why is an ADHD diagnosis £1,000? Excuse me? Yeah, I don't even live in London, so that's just insane. But to be honest, in the past year and a half, I've only like truly kind of acknowledged. No, to be honest, I always knew there were like a couple things like screws lost, but I didn't know what screws were lost. And I feel like now I've narrowed it down to like a couple mental illnesses, which I think I might high chance suffer with. I feel like anyone that knows me in real life would probably know that there's something going on, but I didn't really want to waste time in the sense that, especially in school, I didn't want to consult a teacher for them to refer me into CAMS, for them to tell me like just don't be depressed. Like, what does that even mean? To be honest, I feel like back when I was in secondary school, like thank God I had a very good support group and like very good friends and people around me that were there to kind of help me mentally, like, but in terms of like an authoritative figure, I just didn't think it was worth speaking to anyone about it. And that's not because I didn't think they'd care, because like they have a duty of care to their students, but just because I just didn't think they would understand. And I feel like, as well as having mental illnesses, I feel like I am very self-aware as well, like maybe a bit too self-aware, but I don't want to be told things I already know. I don't know, like in school, if I was with people, like even outside of school, my social battery tends to run out quite quickly. Or like I need breaks. Like if I was out with friends, like I would need like to have like just 10 minutes alone just to like recuperate and like recog my brain, because just sometimes it just gets too much. Or like it, like sometimes I would have very like intense mood swings. Like I would be okay, I'd be okay, but then I would just like, I can't be arsed. And it's not even one of them ones where I'd want to go home. My ability to talk, like it's done. I just don't talk to anyone anymore. But I don't know, the mental health services in the UK is shambolic. The NHS services, just the NHS point blank in the UK is shambolic. Like people around the world will be like, oh my gosh, well in London, in Great Britain, you have free healthcare. Okay, but like I can literally break my leg, it can be my foot can be hanging off my ankle, and I'll go into A&E and they'll tell me to wait for 4 hours. And honestly, like there's no one to blame but the government at this point. Rishi Sunak is actually a bastard. It just boggles my mind how they can pump so much money into another country when your country is literally struggling, it's on its knees. But that's not me, that's him. I wonder if there's hope for the UK. I don't know, the UK is just falling apart piece by piece, and I don't know, the general election, maybe that would change something, but honestly, like I don't even know who to vote for. I just kind of always had it in my head that Labour were the better they were the better party, but Jeremy Corbyn's gone now, and I'm pretty sure it's Keir Starmer in charge. I remember seeing this interview a couple of days ago, and it was this woman, and she was asking Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer, like, young people can't buy houses, like what are you gonna do to help it? And they're kind of just pleading their case, and Rishi just came up with some bullshit answer I don't even like remember, and Keir Starmer banged, oh, we're gonna build 20 million new houses. And it's like, okay, thank you, but can I afford that house? Why is it 1.7 for a 1-bed apartment in like Clapham? Like, it just doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like, honestly, if you live in the UK, just leave, unless you're prepared to grind and make it out of the matrix. It's not even in quotations, because I don't even know what this word is anymore. Just leave, like, for your own good, because the UK is just depleting. The healthcare is shit. There's no jobs. I can't afford a house. I can't afford anything. And it's crazy because back in the day, the UK kind of just used to be the place. Like it just actually used to be up, and it fell off so hard. Okay, that's just reminding me. Can we just talk about how badly Sam Smith fell off? Like back in the day, I remember when what's that song? Money on My Mind by Sam Smith. If you know, you know. That song was so hard. And he had, if you know, writing on the Wall, it was in the James Bond film. Year 8 Maya was screaming her heart out to that, and now he's doing some devil gay shit. Like, what's most like upsetting about that is, and Lil Nas is also to blame. In the world, everyone's kind of trying to push like the common knowledge that being gay is okay, like there's nothing wrong with it, and if you're homophobic, you're just like, you just lack brain cells, because there's just no reason to. But then you have people like Sam Smith who are openly gay, which is fine, but then they come along with some devil imagery, and like, why is Lil Nas giving a wine to the devil? Like you just didn't need to do that. You didn't need to do that. Okay, we live in a Western world where like kind of like the Christian values are like, that's kind of what's pushed in the media. Not really, but if you get what I mean, you get what I mean. Like nobody fucks with the devil, like, no matter who you are, unless you're one of them worshippers, then I don't know, God knows, but not me. They're associating the two. You're trying to get that imagery out of people's heads, and now you're just pushing it back in, like doing some weird devilish shit. And also, I really hope one day like all of the speculations that people have about satanic shit and the music industry, or just the industry in general, I hope in our lifetimes that is exposed, because I am very curious. I'm very curious. To be honest, there's this show on Netflix called Inside Out. Yeah, and it's like this cartoon of these people that work for the Pentagon, I think, in the US. And it's about like conspiracies and shit. And you should watch it, but if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. But if you have watched it, like, I wonder if they're lying. Not lying, I wonder if they're just mocking all the conspiracies that we already have, or they're just trying to tell us something. And I also just like, how did Jeffrey Epstein just like get away with all of that? Like, that is so fucked. And the fact that he just killed himself and the 2 security guards just fell asleep. I can't like, he's probably living on his island right now, just underground, because the whole shebang is happening underground, and he's just probably chilling under there. Like, let's be real, like, we wouldn't know. But it's just, there's this Frank Ocean like song, I forgot what song it's in, but there's this quote, and he's just talking about how we are all living in an idea from another man's mind. And when you really deep it, it's fucked. Because who invented tax? Like, we could be doing anything, and I'm paying like half my paycheck to tax. And I don't even want to get started about council tax, because it's just a scam. It's just a scam. Like, I've never used any of the services. Like, okay, no, I'm paying like half my paycheck to council tax, and when I go to the hospital, I can't even get, like, shambolic. This country is shambolic, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's fucked. Yeah, I just love talking. Like, I don't know, you know how like in school you have all the people that kind of just like have their career paths, like they know what they want to do when they're older. And for me, I always thought I wanted to be an actor or actress, because I went to drama school from like a very young age. I went to Stagecoach, if you know what Stagecoach is, if you live in the UK. I went to Stagecoach when I was really young, and then I went to a different drama school. That is a whole different topic though. That drama school, it wasn't even bad, but I'll get into that another day. But what was my main point? Oh fuck, I actually really forgot. Oh, thinking about what I wanted to do when I'm older. Anyways, so I always kind of thought that I wanted to do musical theatre, because it's fun. Like, I'll give it to you, it's actually fun. And people that don't know, like people that hate on musical theatre, you're just not there yet. Like, if you know, you know. Hamilton, the best thing I've ever witnessed in my own eyes. I need to see it again. Like, it's just insane how people can dance, sing, and act like that all on the stage, like all on like in front of people live. And the fact that of course I didn't do Hamilton, but I did like different shows and stuff, and it was fun. It was fun while it lasted, at least. Yeah, I kind of always thought that I wanted to go down the actress route. Like, when I was really young, I wanted to be a singer, but like, didn't every little girl? Like, I remember, oh my god, I remember when I was in primary school, we had like talent shows at the end of each year, and I remember like I performed Lego House by Ed Sheeran, like in front of my whole primary school, by the way, all on my own, up on a stage. That's so crazy. The heart palpitations I'd be having if I had to do that now. I think I just had more confidence when I was younger, but again, that's another story for another day. But my main point was that, yeah, I just never really knew what I wanted to do. I feel like I was one of those kids growing up, but I wasn't really good at anything specifically, but it wasn't like I was bad at anything. I feel like I was just quite average. I did drama, and I feel like I excelled in that out of every single subject, but yeah, I wasn't like an A-star student, but then I wasn't like fail student either. The only shit I failed in was science, because like, what the fuck even is science? Yes, I've never really known like what I want to do. Not what I want to do, but what I'm good at. And I've just recently put the pieces together. Something that happens to me is I just can't put pieces together. I don't know what mental illness out of the ones I think I have this links to, but sometimes I'll just do dumb shit because I won't just put the pieces together. Like, that's just the perfect way I can describe it. Like, this is actually funny. Like, there was this time where I must have opened my fridge and I was trying to reach for something on the counter, and instead of just like a normal person just shutting the fridge and picking up the thing on the counter, like, the fridge, okay, this is the counter, this is the fridge door open, I'm standing right here bending myself over the fridge door whilst it's wide open to reach for the thing on the counter, when I could have just shut it. I could have just shut it and it would have been so much easier, but I just didn't put the pieces together that I could shut it. Just dumb. I'm just a donut sometimes. But yeah, I never put the pieces together that one thing I can do very well is talk. I could just talk for ages, and the reason, like, I don't sometimes, sorry, I just forgot my lips dry. This combination is from the gods. I don't really need to explain what this is, fucking Vaseline. But this Fenty is heat. Fenty Beauty lip gloss is so good. And also, I have a life hack, because I found with some lip glosses, sometimes it's too sticky. It's just too thick and sticky. That is a crazy sentence. But I added a couple of drops of baby oil, and it just makes it so much more like, it just makes it a lot better. It just makes it less sticky and more glossy. But I don't even remember what I was saying now. But yeah, I just realised I can talk for the UK if I wanted to. I don't know. I find the yap I talk about interesting, so maybe someone else will. But we'll see where that quote takes me. I feel like throughout my like secondary school days, I don't know, other people's perceptions of me, but I don't think anyone that I knew in real life would have thought I was dealing with the things I'm dealing with. I feel like I just constantly feel guilty. Like, I just feel like I'm in trouble all the time. Like, I feel like I'm two steps away from being shouted at, which is like not okay. I feel like all of my things are quite like, they're very internalized, so I'm just very used to it. And like, since like being with my boyfriend, there's a lot of things that I did or that I would do, and that for me they would be considered normal. And so I had never voiced them to other people, because I would have thought that's just what everyone else does. Maybe everyone else thinks this way, but now I've voiced it to a person who probably isn't as mentally ill as me. I've realised, like, I don't know, I'm just a special case. I'm a special case of human being, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I would not change who I am for anything. I don't know, obviously having like mental issues like has its downsides. However, it does make it just makes things so interesting. It just makes life so interesting. Like, I think my life would be quite boring without it. I don't know, it just spices it up a bit. You can take that as you will. But also, another thing I've realised about myself is that I'm not really scared to talk about myself, in the sense that like the things that I struggle with, or my mental, or just like me, I'm not really like, a lot of people kind of struggle to voice their thoughts or voice what's kind of really going on, but I don't really feel like I have trouble talking about that. I feel like, especially like on social media and stuff, people aren't really open about what life really is like for people that have like mental health issues, or just in general. I feel like people just aren't really honest with the internet, which is fair enough, but the fact is that a lot of people aren't really honest with anyone. I feel like I don't know, I feel like when I was in my depressed era, which I feel like everyone collectively had a depressed era throughout secondary school, especially lockdown. Like, fucking hell, like the lockdown really damaged our generation. Like, mentally I'm still 17, and why is that? Because I spent like 2 years locked up in my crib. But my main point is that I feel like back when I was in my depressed era, I would have really liked to hear someone talk about the things that I'm also struggling with in such an open, non-taboo free way. Like, I feel like it would have provided some sort of comfort. So I feel like that's kind of what I would want to do for other people. I feel like mental health is still like, people are talking about it, but I feel like it's not where it needs to be. The fact that there is quite literally not one person I know in real life that doesn't really have some. There's a couple people that are probably okay, but the majority of people that I know are struggling somehow. And I feel like that's probably the same with everybody on this earth. But I feel like because people don't talk about it, they don't address it within themselves, and therefore they think, I don't know, life is shit, and people kind of think that they deserve that, or it's meant to be that way. Like, you know what I was saying at the beginning about how, like, when you go home at the end of the day, like, you're a completely different person to who you are when you're out with people. I feel like a lot of people just kind of acknowledge that they're a completely different person when they're at home, and maybe they're more sad, or maybe feeling a bit more depressed, or when they're completely alone, they're not feeling great. But I feel like people just go sleep, call it a day, and that's it, and they don't really acknowledge that something's wrong. And I feel like because everyone is collectively fucked mentally, everyone kind of collectively decides to, like, oh, let's brush it off, put it to a side. But no, that's not good. You should be enjoying life. You should be like, it doesn't have to be this depressing. And I feel like a lot of people don't even know that there's another side. Like, a lot of people aren't aware that life doesn't have to be this way. I feel like healing and acknowledging, like, the things that are wrong are really important, because until you acknowledge it, nothing can change. I feel like especially in London or just in the UK, everyone's just collectively miserable, and especially even around the world. But honestly, right now, like, oh, it's fair enough, the world's actually, like, going to shit. Like, everything happening in Gaza, Congo, I could name a plethora of corrupt things going on around the world right now, and it's kind of difficult to just see all this terrible news about shit happening around the world. It's just kind of hard to be happy in the world we're living in right now, but you can become happy within yourself. And I promise everybody that is watching that, because honestly, like, back in the day, I did not think there was a way out, but trust me, there is. Yeah, lockdown really screwed us over. Like, when I was in year 7 and I looked at uni students, and I looked at, like, especially, like, the sixth formers in my school whilst I was in year 7, for me, they were, like, fully grown working adults. Like, they were fully functional adults. And I promise you, from year 11 to year 13, okay, bear in mind, in my secondary school, everyone, like, from year 7 to year 13, sixth form, everyone stayed from year 7 to year 13. Not everyone, but, like, the vast majority of people. And, like, there was no growing up, absolutely no growing up. And now, even in uni, like, everyone, like, acts how they would in secondary school. And I don't know if it's just because I wasn't there back then. I wasn't in uni in 2013, so I don't know how the students were acting, but they were not acting like how they are now. Yeah, it's just insane to me. There's a decline in the society. There's a film called Idiocracy. If you don't know it, there's this YouTuber that made, like, a short summary kind of video on it. I don't remember, but just search it up on YouTube. And it quite literally is how our society is going to go. Okay, so basically in the film, there's this guy who he's chosen to be, like, a guinea pig for, like, this secret hibernation experiment, and he wakes up 500 years later, and he realizes he is quite literally the smartest person on the planet. And that's because, like, just imagine the world where brain rot, like, just like you don't even need to imagine it, because if you think about it, all of the young children and all of the babies and all of the babies and shit, they're watching shit like YouTube shorts. And if you was to take a quick look on YouTube shorts, it is pure shit. Like, at least we grew up with watching CBBS or CBBC. We had things that, like, I don't know, you required brain cells to understand. There was, like, actual TV shows with actual narratives. But the children of the new generation, they're being grown up and on YouTube shorts. And, like, it's the fact that, like, as a generation, like, we Gen Z, like, we kind of know that our attention spans are completely cooked from TikTok and shit like that. And we're kind of seeing the effects now when it comes to watching, like, a TV show or watching something quite long, or watching, like, a long TikTok video. You just have the urge to skip it because your brain has trained itself to, you just can't be asked to consume long form content. Anyways, but the kids of the new generation, they are literally being raised on that. So God knows how they're gonna turn out when they're older. And also YouTube Shorts is so cooked. Society is so fucked. Like there's so much subliminal like sexual shit in YouTube Shorts as well. It's just like, and the rise of like OnlyFans and Andrew Tate type mentality, and like I really pray for society. I feel like the next generation of kids are gonna be quite cooked because they're coming from, I don't know who's the generation after Gen Z, like the older ones. They are like kind of in a middle ground where they don't really understand social media, and they'll sit and let their kids watch YouTube Shorts for like the next 10 hours of the day because they don't know, they assume it's just kids content on YouTube, fun, TikTok, yay. They don't really know about that. But I feel like as a generation we are aware that that shit literally will like fry your brain. So I feel like when my generation, we become parents and like hit 30, we'll be able to raise kids in a way where like we'll know what not to do in terms of raising children, like which will be a good thing. But I don't know, for the generation in between, God help them. I feel like that's enough for today. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like that's enough. That was fun. That was nice. But yeah, thank you for watching. I don't know what else to say, but thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, yeah, let me know. Thank you. Why am I saying thank you? Like, I don't know what I'm saying. Goodbye. Thank you. Bye.